Hey all, welcome back to Chalk Sports Podcast. Today we're doing it a little different because Tanner couldn't be here today, so we got my father instead. Tanner's on we'll call it IR for personal issues.
Yeah, personal recovery.
Depression.
Issues. Yeah, depression.
Doesn't matter. We're gonna be talking about the college football game because it's just now starting. We have it on the PC, and then we're gonna go over all the NFL games that just happened, and then we'll wrap that up. All right. So let's get into this game. Just as it starts, we just got the kickoff. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think Notre Dame can pull this off. I think that the defense is better than what Ohio State has been facing, and I think they get a lot of vibes. And Jesus is on their side.
Vibes and Jesus.
Vibes and Jesus.
Put that on a T-shirt. Riley Leonard starts off quick. So Marcus Freeman, I did write some stuff down before because I thought we could preview it. So I have, is Ohio State going to dominate or will Notre Dame keep it close? You already answered that one, basically.
Well, that's kind of a BS question because it's all framed from the perspective that you think Ohio State's going to win the game as opposed to,
well, so I
does
think,
Notre Dame have a chance?
I think it's very boom or bust because I think it'll be Ohio State will either blow them out of the water or Notre Dame will keep it close and win. They're just running Riley Leonard every play, though. So the other one is if they lose, is it Riley's last game? Or not Riley, Ryan Day's.
No, I don't think Ohio State's going to separate from a coach that just took them to a national championship. And I think the longer the NIL continues and the championship becomes truly the thing that schools care about the most, the Michigan rivalry it may not go away, but it's definitely going to lose some of its standing when it comes to choosing a head coach.
Oh.
But if Ohio State gets blown out in this game, that could be completely different. And there's definitely some holes that Ryan Day needs to fill in his staff from a game management perspective. And going forward, they need to make sure that they have an offensive coordinator that's calling a football game based on their strengths all the time, not just based on what they want to do.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So it sounds like they just got a kid coach, basically. Because that feels like something I would do where I'd go back there and be like, we're playing Michigan. They're not that good this year. Let's just try to run it on them.
Yeah, Ryan Day just sometimes doesn't brain farts in the big games, on the big stage.
So another one is if they win, could Marcus Freeman go to the NFL?
I don't think he will this year. Obviously, I have no sources, but I think he really enjoys what he's building at Notre Dame. He's building something that others have not been able to do. He actually converted to Roman Catholicism in order to fully assimilate into the Notre Dame program. I think he really believes in what they do there, and Notre Dame might be the last pure, college football program that we have in the country that's not 100% about NIL money because of their requirements for GPA and academics.
Yeah. So now that just made me think of another one. Is that all BYU needed? Was their quarterback to commit to Mormonism instead of being a Jew?
Yeah, well, I also think that you have a storied program at Notre Dame that has historically been independent from everybody else as well. So that adds a lot of intrigue to their program.
Oh, that's another one. Where would BYU go? Or not BYU, Notre Dame.
I don't think Notre Dame will ever join a conference. I don't think there's any benefit to
so
it at this point.
If they never change the playoffs, though, if they keep it like it is, where you have to win a conference to be a top 4 team, you don't see them going to Big Ten?
No, I don't. Why would Notre Dame go split money with a bunch of other schools that don't have the name recognition? That would be like, the Notre Dame from a independent standing and a TV contract standing, they don't have to share their money with anybody right now.
Yeah.
When they win in the playoffs, when they win a national championship, all that money stays with them. It doesn't go to anybody else in the conference.
It's true. So I did have one more, and if it does kind of contradict what you said, but if Ryan Day gets fired, where does he go?
Well, I think the bigger question is if Ryan Day gets fired, who would Ohio State hire? Obviously, there are people that will want that job, but there's a pretty rabid fan base there, and it's kind of boom or bust. So I think there would be teams lined up to hire Ryan Day for sure. He's got top college football coaching pedigree.
Yeah.
But I could see Ryan Day being a coordinator in the NFL potentially before he took another college.
So it would be a cool hire? Matt Rule out of Nebraska. He turned Baylor into a good team. He's a college coach. He's not an NFL. We already tried that. That could be an interesting hire. That would be something really interesting about this college season. Let's move on to the NFL. So, originally I had it starting at Commanders-Lions. You want to start there, or do you want to...
We should start there, and we should pour one out for our homeboy Tanner. Nobody knows more what this feels like than the two 49er fans sitting on this side of the game.
Yeah, that's true.
We've been there multiple times. Granted, they were in the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, but irregardless, there's definitely something to having a feeling of where your fan base is so jazzed up that they're actually buying tickets and booking hotels in New Orleans only to have the vibes run out, essentially.
I feel like that was I feel like the biggest thing about this all has been no one thought they'd lose. They came into this game expecting to win, expecting to blow out the Commanders. They came in half asleep, come out and don't show up. Commanders, Jane Daniels is amazing. Show out and they beat them, and it's like, whoa, this just happened. Watching videos.
Is the bye week as much of a bonus or an advantage as it once was?
One football team won in a playoff game coming off a bye week.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I just thought of. That's crazy. And the only one is the Chiefs. And they won off of a bunch of bull crap calls. So I had a few notes. Goff's 3 interceptions. What do you do with Goff?
I think they got to start planning for the future there. This draft. If it's not in the draft, then something in free agency.
Quinn Ewers?
I don't know why you were so obsessed with Quinn Ewers.
I think he's good.
I don't think he is. I don't know if Goff is the biggest question over who do you replace Ben Johnson with?
This was all before Ben Johnson got hired.
Correct, but that offense was predicated on Ben Johnson's creativity and his ability to make Goff look good, especially with those weapons. There'll be offensive coordinators that really want that job, but will they all be able to match Dan Campbell's sense of urgency around 4th down conversions and some of these trick plays, which frankly hurt them when they really didn't even need to bring it out.
Yeah, that was the JMO one was so dumb.
that there was no reason for that play at that time. They were moving the football just fine.
So wait, I just had an idea. Okay, this is just me fanficking. So Cooper Kupp got released that he might not be with the Rams next year. There's one Rams quarterback that's kind of been a Detroit person for a while. Matthew Stafford.
I don't know.
You do a reverse trade. You give them back Goff.
Yeah, I don't think they want.
You
Goff
take
back.
Stafford.
I don't think they want Goff back.
Then you take Stafford.
I don't think they want Stafford. I don't think Stafford wants to leave California. I think he's very happy.
I don't know,
living
man.
in California.
That's a storyline.
And he was able to win a championship in California that he was never able to win in Detroit.
But that's a storyline. That's a LeBron back to the Cavs.
This, for anybody who doesn't know me and my son, this is literally my entire life. Blase just throws wild shit out and sees to see if it sticks on the wall.
Yeah, and sometimes it does, sometimes
and
it doesn't.
I typically just call him an idiot.
Yep, that's a lot of this show. So, who's at fault, defense or offense? Has to be the defense.
Well, it's definitely the defense, but the Lions, it's a Dan Campbell vibes, emotion-driven team, and it just felt like they ran out of the emotion. But their stars, for the most part showed up. Gibbs had a pretty good game. Montgomery was back.
He played like crap, but
he didn't play
we kind of
great,
saw that coming.
But, it was his first game back. Goff just tried to do too much, and I think the defense definitely hurt them. The injuries for sure hurt them.
Yeah, that killed them.
But I think instead of blaming it on one side or the other for the Lions, I would give credit to the Commanders for out-lionsing the Lions. They out Dan Campbell in the game when it mattered most.
So the most ironic part about all this was me and Tanner had a huge debate in the last episode about how much better had the defense really gotten. And I always thought they got a lot better from that. The defense last year was really good. Turns out it wasn't.
I think their defense was always kind of suspect, and they were fortunate to play for a head coach that believed in being super aggressive offensively, which kept them off the field a lot, scored a lot of points, so the defense wasn't being called on to get massive stops in really, really close games a lot of times. And if you're not converting those fourth down conversions, or the other team is converting fourth down conversions on your defense at a faster rate than you are, it's going to be really hard for that defense, as short as they were on manpower, to keep up.
Yeah. So I did write a few consistent questions. What's next for the Lions?
Oh, I think the Lions still, even with Goff at quarterback, can still win 12 games again next year. The big question is going to be, they're going to lose both their offensive and defensive coordinator in the same year. And as 49er fans, we've been through that, where we've lost, we haven't lost our offensive coordinator per se, because that's always been our head coach. But we've lost defensive coordinators. We lost defensive coordinators in consecutive years after Super Bowl appearance, NFC Championship appearance. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to come back from that. They need to retool that defense big time, and they need to find an offensive coordinator that is either going to work with the quarterback of their future or bring in a system that matches Jared Goff.
Yeah, and there's not really a lot of systems that match Jared Goff besides hand the ball off.
No, hand the ball off and just pretty consistent pocket passer, which when you've got Amon-Ra and Williamson on the other side,
yeah.
You got a lot of weapons.
Well, that's what they did with Todd Gurley. If you remember back in when the 3-13 Super Bowl, the biggest thing was Goff and then Gurley. So I did have some stuff that stayed consistent too, like this one. So there's no major free agents. I looked at it. There's nobody over 80% snaps.
And they get Hutch back.
Who should be signed? So I have a few: T. Higgins, Trey Smith, who's a 10th ranked guard out of Kansas City, or Chris Godwin. All three free agents could be a huge part.
Offensive weapons weren't really. I think they need to be deeper on defense, clearly, with the injuries that they experienced this year. I think they need another pass rusher. I think you can't just hope that Hutch is going to be your saving grace, even if he's healthy all the time. There are teams that are going to scheme against that, and they're going to find ways to work around him.
Well, I do think Zadarius Smith will fit that role. So they might come back good next year. I'm very surprised. I'm more surprised, and we'll move on to them. Oh, wait, I do have one more, actually. Is the NFC North similar to the Pac-12? Back when it was really good, Pac-12?
I have no idea what you mean by that.
So, Pac-12 used to cannibalize itself.
Mm-hmm.
They used to have a bunch of really good teams. They'd beat down each other. They'd make each other miss playoff spots. The NFC North had 3 really good teams, the Bears, who were frisky. They beat down on each other. They all ended up injured, and none of them won a playoff game.
You could make that comparison with the SEC on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You could make that comparison with the NFC West.
The biggest
and the
one
49ers,
that
the Rams, and the Pete Carroll Seahawks were all spectacular at the same time.
Yeah.
And we were just beating each other up. And then there was a period of time there where all 4 teams in the NFC could have been playoff teams at the same time in the NFC West.
That's the only reason I mentioned is because when I think of true football cannibalism, it's Pac-12, 2011, 2012.
Yeah, I don't know that the Packers are going to be, the belle of the ball again. I don't remember. The Packers played a relatively difficult schedule this year. The Bears are going to play a really easy schedule next year.
Yeah.
The Packers are going to play a pretty easy schedule next year. Obviously, we know the Lions and the Vikings schedules are going to be tough.
They might have some. They might be the biggest fall off next year.
I don't see the Vikings doing next year what they did this year.
15-2.
No, I don't see that at all.
Yeah, that'll be impossible. So let's move on to the team that deserves the credit: the Commanders. Daniels had 599 yards, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, 51 yards on the ground. But his stat line doesn't exactly show what he did.
Turnovers.
Yeah, but his stat line doesn't show exactly what he did as a player. He was like the biggest impact player in the game.
It's because of what he's able to do with his feet when he gets the chance. He's not an escape artist at all. When he gets design runs, he's a very patient back, and he picks his way through the line and then explodes.
Yeah.
But he also makes a ton of like off angle throws on the run, and he's pretty decisive as well.
Yeah, he's a great read. So he had a 21.7 EPA. So that's how much he added points per play that he
I
did.
have no idea what EPA means.
So he basically 21 is huge.
Oh, okay.
So I think, I can't remember the average.
And you got to keep in mind, of the 299 passing yards, 70 yards of them were to Scary Terry on one play where the pass was 1 yard from the line of scrimmage, and then Terry McLaurin did the rest.
We got a little stat on that later. But, so for example, Mahomes had a 2.5 EPA.
Mahomes is a game manager at this point.
But that's what it kind of means is like he made that much of an impact to where he was the reason they
he's
won.
carrying that team for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they could be a threat. They could be frisky, but that'll touch on later. So was that's the Rams one. So is Terry McLaurin, you mentioned this. He's a top 3 receiver.
For
in the
sure
NFL,
he's a top
right?
3. I would almost say he's probably the best clutch wide receiver in the NFL right now.
That was before I knew you were doing it. That was for Tanner.
Yeah.
Because that was hopeful to be more of a debate. So I have 3 questions that'll stay the same for every team that won. Why can't they win it all? Why can they? And how big of a threat are they?
If the moment gets too big for Jaden, that could be
a huge
yeah.
part.
If they have turnovers, I mean, there's a theme in every one of these playoff games except for the Texans game. Turnovers definitely made the difference.
Texans won.
The Texans had 0 turnovers.
Oh, but so did the Chiefs. Or the Chiefs had 1.
I know. The turnovers basically decided the winner
Yeah.
in every game except for the Texans Chiefs game. And if for some reason Jalen Hurts suddenly decides to play good football again,
yeah.
That could be a problem for the Commanders because their defense is good, but their pass rush is not what it would need to be against a high-powered passing offense.
Yeah, that run defense might be the reason they could lose this game. He could have a big game. But I feel like that rivalry could be... It'll be a good game for sure. So, why can they is probably just because Jaden, right?
Oh, Jaden and
McLaurin. And Ertz.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a scary offense that can go toe-to-toe with another high-scoring offense.
Yeah, you can't get rid of Cliff. Cliff can't leave, right? There's no reason
I don't
for him
think
to
so.
leave.
I mean, I don't know why he would after just 1 year of working with Jaden, because Jaden could be his ticket to another head coaching position.
Well, that's what they're saying is he could get a head coaching job, maybe.
I don't think he can get one this year.
He was a coach. He was,
and he wasn't able to get over the hump in Arizona.
No, not at all.
But he also might just be a great coordinator as well.
He's a great... That defense they ran, that offense they run, hand the ball off, get it a 2nd and 5, then make your deep shot. Jaden's the perfect 2nd and 5 player.
Well, he's a perfect 3rd and 5 player, too.
Yeah.
Because then he's a dual threat. And then what you saw in that game was they got to 3rd and 2, and they would try and run it and get stuffed, then they'd have 4th and 2, 4th and 1, and Jaden Daniels was automatic every time.
Yeah, Dan Campbell.
Yep.
And the worst one, though, was the Mariota one. You saw that, right? That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
They're outthinking themselves there.
Having both of them on the field, and then Mariota just sneaking in to pitch it to Jaden. I was like, I was watching, I was like, what are we doing? So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a threat are they to win it all?
I guess say an 8.
Oh, wow.
Right now? Yeah.
That's really high. All right, yeah, I was thinking more of like a 3 or... not a 3 or 4. I was thinking like a 5.
I mean, they're a tested playoff team now. I mean, they've got 2 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of franchises out there that would love to have 2 playoff wins.
Cowboys. I saw a stat that was like that CJ Stroud has more wins than the Cowboys do as a franchise since the Texans joined the NFL. Yeah. With 2. So, is there anything else that we got to touch on in this game? Any stat lines? I guess Monty had a great game with his 105, 14 carries. He had a great game overall, but
The boneheaded pass.
which one?
Oh, you're talking about
Montgomery, but what
Montgomery.
boneheaded
No,
pass?
I thought you were talking about Williamson.
Oh, I can pull that up. Yeah, that was interesting call by him.
It was a bad play call at the time. It wasn't necessary. Goff was moving the ball just fine. No reason to take your best weapon and have him roll out to the right and try and throw a sideline route.
It doesn't. They get too cute. Which I mean, if they didn't, then I don't know what else. You can't not get too cute. But yeah, rewatching this now.
Yeah, I mean he's not even setting his feet when he makes the throw. He throws into literal triple coverage.
Yeah, that was a bad
almost
read.
Quadruple coverage. I mean it was clearly not the right read.
That's the reason that's the reason you call me an idiot. That one play is the reason you call me an idiot for my offensive ideas. That single play of having a roll out.
You get too cute.
Because I always stood by the fact that having two running quarterbacks could be the greatest offense of all time. Because you can just run the ball, and then they can throw or run it. And he's always called me an idiot for it. But we're on to something, I think. So, let's move on to the next one. Rams at Eagles. Wow. So, Stafford, let's start with the Rams because, I mean...
Fumbles.
Yeah.
Fumbles.
So, the Rams, Stafford had a game. 324, 2 touchdowns. He played great.
2 fumbles. I think he lost one.
I can pull that up.
He fumbled twice. I think he lost one, and then I think was there one other fumble?
It's not available. Next gen stats. I don't know. I would believe it, but
yeah, I think he had. I know he had 2. I know he lost at least one. The thing for me was, Puka had his normal game. Cooper Kupp, I think he had 6 catches for 50-something yards, which is not terrible.
Yeah, he had 61.
But none of the Rams stars scored touchdowns in that game. I think Colby had a touchdown.
Tyler Higbee
had a touchdown. And then the other one was it Patterson? Yeah, it was Patterson.
Oh yeah, sure enough.
Was the other touchdown. Parkinson. None of their studs had touchdowns. And Kyron Williams was nowhere to be found in the passing game at all. I think he had one catch for -1 yard.
Yeah.
He literally was not a threat at all out of the backfield in the passing game.
And Puka didn't do what Puka normally
had a couple
does.
drops. I mean, the weather definitely played a factor there for sure. One team handled the weather way better than the other team. But the Eagles still left the door wide open. I mean, the Rams had their chance. Eagles fans were sweating.
Yeah. So I didn't put this on the thing, but what's his name? The former Rams quarterback that went to the Super Bowl, the undrafted one.
Kurt Warner.
Yeah. Did you see the Kurt Warner take?
Yeah.
Yeah, is he an idiot?
No, I don't think Kurt Warner's an idiot at all.
So you think they should get rid of snow football?
I think that it's...
People are not going to be happy if you say it. So
I don't think they should get rid of snow football.
Okay.
I think there is definitely something there when you have games that are being played in a dome in Detroit, and then you have games being played in 8 inches of snow in Philly. It's just weird to me that there's this dichotomy where there's fan bases where the dome is everything, and the Bears are about to go make this same mistake, in my opinion, when you've got these other great franchises that are playing in the elements all the time.
The Bills.
And they have no issue with it.
Yeah. It's stupid to get rid of it, though.
I like snow football personally.
We went to the game.
I enjoy the weather's playing an element. It can level the playing field in some respects because it takes out some of the air raid offense that the NFL has become. Because when it's blizzarding out, it's a lot harder to throw deep balls. Although we did see some crazy ones completed anyway.
They're getting to the point where that doesn't matter. It's more of kicking. Kicking got affected big time. Elliott missed another one.
But there are teams that know how to prepare for that now. I mean, NFL teams have been preparing for the elements for years. I mean, they play with wet footballs in practice and do all kinds of things to prepare themselves for the elements. So I like it. I wouldn't.
You can't get rid of it. The Buffalo game that me and you went to alone.
But you remember where Kurt Warner's coming from. I mean, he played his career in Arizona and LA.
Yeah.
I mean, how many snow games? The Super Bowl he won was in a was in Superdome. Like, you know.
Yeah. So, did the defense sell, or was it just unlucky for the Rams?
I don't think that the Rams had a very strong defense at all.
Besides for the D-line, that was it.
Yeah, their pass rush is almost non-existent.
Oh, I was thinking the otherwise.
Oh, no, I don't think they're...
They're young. That's the only thing, is Jared Verse and...
They're young. They're still recovering from some of their cap decisions from the past. They don't really have lockdown corners.
They're still recovering from Aaron Donald retiring.
Yeah. I mean,
if you have Aaron Donald, do you think they win that game? That's a crazy statement, but... If Aaron Donald is in there...
No, because I don't know that Aaron Donald's going to make the Saquon difference.
Yeah, that's true. So, all these weapons on offense, but what's the next move for defense?
They're going to have to go through the draft. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a ton of defensive free agents out there.
So, yeah, that's actually what I had. That's actually exactly what I wrote. So, is it worth making a massive change considering you're a sack away from? If they don't get sacked on that Matthew Stafford play, they probably win that game.
Nah, I mean the Rams were kind of the redheaded stepchild of the playoffs as it was. I mean, the NFC West in general wasn't very good this year at all. Yeah. And if I remember right, the Rams played a last place schedule as well.
I can pull it up.
Yeah, I think pretty close to a last place schedule. So I never looked at the Rams as contenders. I know that they got out of the NFC West, but they were playing against a Seattle team with a third of a quarterback, and they were playing against an Arizona team with zero identity.
They played above 500 schedule. Played a 505.
So right at 500.
Yeah. So it's not bad. I feel like... So, I was doing some research before this, obviously. So, with no free agents, you got no space. There's one guy I like in the draft. Erete Ursay out of Minnesota. He's a lineman. I know defense could need some work, but I feel like it'll only get better with time with the D lineman. With Jared Verse, and I can't remember the other one. But there's Jared Verse, and then... Was it Turner? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But their defense is going to get better with time. They progressively get... That's how the Rams do. Is they recycle. They build up this team, and then... Brian Young, that's what it was.
Oh.
They build up these teams where they have a good D-line. They have a good basis. If you get a lineman, I feel like that's the part that you kind of need. Your passer, you got beat by the passer.
I think they need more than that. But, I mean, they were a 10-7 team playing a 500 schedule.
Yeah, and so on to let's give the Eagles. So you wanted the Eagles to win.
I absolutely rooted for the Eagles. Will not shy away from that.
I don't know how you can openly say that you rooted for the Eagles.
I've said it publicly multiple times. As a 49ers fan, it is hate the Cowboys, hate the Chiefs, hate all of the NFC West, hate the Eagles. In that order.
Oh, see, mine's
in that order.
See,
in that order.
This is the different generations, though, because
you cannot any 49er fan who is rooting for an NFC West opponent in the playoffs is a bootlicker. Period. You're a bootlicker. Like,
so the difference between generations is here because I have it Eagles, and then Chiefs, and then NFC West, and then Cowboys. So I swap my Cowboys and Eagles, but that's because Cowboys have never been a threat.
But a lot of the players that were on the Eagles for the 1 year, 2 year rivalry that the 49ers had with them, some of them aren't even there anymore. And Saquon has fundamentally changed that team.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I still am not a huge fan of
hate them so much.
Most of the Philly fans, but I get it. They're passionate about their team. But again, I'm not rooting for them. I'm not rooting against them when it's an NFC West rival.
So, winning in a close one again, is that the big concern for the Commanders game?
Oh, 1,000%.
You win two close games.
I would not trust Jalen Hurts' arm or ability to not make a mistake to win me a championship.
So, Jalen Hurts is 4-0 in games that he doesn't throw for 200 yards.
Yeah, but eventually
touchdown. You
get to a Super Bowl against Steve Spagnuolo, he's going to be able to defend against that.
Oh, that was an early take, wasn't it?
I'm just saying, if he's going to face a defensive coordinator that's going to have something different for him.
Yeah.
And again, are the Commanders going to go in and be super competitive again? Or super...
Fired up?
Well, of course they're going to be fired up, but super aggressive on fourth down.
They gotta be. They got the most conversions in the playoffs. They're going to play... I feel like they're going to play it how the Broncos did the first half of the Bills game.
I think they're going to play it like they got nothing to lose.
They're going to play underdogs. That's how they do. That's how you should. So we all saw the Saquon thing coming, though. 200... the most yards against a single team in the NFL.
Monster game.
530 rushing yards against one team.
Yeah.
They got exposed on that run defense.
And you can almost set your watch for the third quarter, defense is tired, 70-yard run that inevitably comes every single game.
It's the Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it's the fatigue on defense.
That's what Derrick Henry does best. So Hurts looked bad, which is concerning. But Carter had the same game. Jalen Carter, he had a crazy.
He had a great game.
That was an absurd picking. So I did have a little hypothetical. What if the Saquon stayed with the Giants? Is he doing what he's doing
Saquon
now?
was the 1,000-yard rusher for the Giants.
Yeah, but is he at 2,000 rushing?
Well, I think when you have a quarterback that is somewhat of a triple threat, that definitely helps a running back for sure. But I think his offensive line with the Eagles is way better than it was.
So, yeah, that's the biggest part about the Eagles. So, same three questions. Why can't they win it all? Hurts? Is
the
it
Eagles?
as simple as that?
They're Hurts, and I think their defense is...
Oh, see, we disagree there.
I think their defensive backs are a problem.
What?
Yeah.
Quintomino and...
Yeah, I think their defensive backs can be had.
I can pull up stats. Quinyon Mitchell is not a problem. I disagree with you, because Cooper DeJean is not a problem. He did have that one drop. So, there you go. With Quinyon leaving the game on the first drive, the Eagles outside corners were targeted 26 of 44 passes. Darius Slay... Wait, that's not really much. Mitchell was...
I mean, you're not bringing Slay in here to convince me that their defense is
no,
good, right?
No, I was trying to make a point about Quinyon Mitchell.
Because I can point to a lot of places where Slay gets embarrassed.
Yeah, they were basically saying that once Quinyon Mitchell got off the field, that's when they got beat. Because they have Darius Slay, and the guy who came in allowed 109 yards. So, basically, Quinyon Mitchell, if he is not healthy, the Eagles might be screwed. No Quinyon Mitchell, you could really end up shooting yourself in the foot. I don't know what the report was on him. So we'll have to see how that unfolds. But right now, that is a big part of it. Dallas Goedert had a great game, 56 yards. Saquon had 27 receiving. Yeah, it's just up to if Hurts can stay consistent. Why can they? It's got to be.
Why can the Eagles win it?
Yeah.
Saquon.
Yeah.
I mean,
just hand the ball off to Saquon and hope it works.
Yeah.
And how big of a threat are they?
How big of a threat are the Eagles?
1 to 10.
A 7.
Oh, so you're putting the Commanders above the Eagles and how big of a threat they are. I like it. I like the way you
I don't think the Eagles can beat any of the the two AFC teams that are left.
Yeah. You think
I think the Commanders could.
I think so. The funniest part about
the other thing you got to remember too, Jaden is a rookie, and what we see time and time again in the NFL is that rookie quarterbacks can have a really good first year because nobody has tape on them.
Yeah, that's what.
And they don't have tendencies. So there's not going to be there's a season worth of tape for sure, but we haven't even begun to unpack what Jaden is capable of. And then what you typically see in the second year for those quarterbacks is a little bit of a pullback from those first year theatrics because now people have a little bit more time to study them and study the tendencies of the offensive coordinator. Cliff Kingsbury, though, is pretty good at switching stuff up and keeping a defense guessing.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud is the biggest example of that. So, I'll give you an option. Do you want to preview this game coming up, or do you want to go to the AFC side?
No, let's preview that game.
All right, so Eagles, Commanders, we're going to lightly touch on that because I don't want to... We're going to have another show for that. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I'm not making picks for...
No, you're not taking Tanner's.
I'm not taking Tanner's picks. He's the better gambler. I'm the bad gambler.
You're the put $500 on the Niners to win it all. Oh, we already got spreads out. So plus 5.5 Commanders, over under 47.5. I don't know if it'll be snowing, so that'll be it.
I'd be tempted to take that under in the Commanders.
Yeah, I would definitely take that 5.5.
First blush.
Yeah, the under is kind of nice. I don't have any analytics. The biggest thing is how dominant the Eagles are on both sides.
What? Go back to that.
The passing metrics?
Yeah.
What?
Passing versus pressure.
So, yeah, that's
Almost
the Jane
dead
Daniels
last.
stat. That's the Jane Daniels stat is passing versus pressure. He's number 7. Passing versus blitz, he's number 3. But everything else, the Eagles dominate. Number 1 in passing versus no blitz. Number 1 in short passing. Number 1 in overall short passing efficiency. Number 2 in quick passing. Number 1 passing versus no play action. That's all their defensive side. So, without pressure, they're kind of a big threat. Like, if they keep the people in coverage, they can hold on for a while.
The Eagles.
Yes, that's what it seems as if. Commanders' defense is probably the biggest hole they have.
Sure it is.
So,
Which is why I think they would be able to win a shootout, though. Is because I think their offense is more explosive.
who, the Commanders?
Yes.
Yeah, I think this will be it might end up being a shootout. It depends on the weather.
And Jaden's good for 1 or 2 bonehead interceptions every game.
Is he?
Yeah. Yeah, he throws some weird ones.
Has he? I thought he was doing really good on the interception.
Not Jaden, I'm sorry.
Oh, you threw me
Hurts.
off. I was going to say, because
Hurts.
Jaden threw 0.5 interceptions a game.
No, Hurts.
Yeah, I'm trying to find now. Oh, there's something. Passing versus the blitz. So, what is crazy is he has more sacks against the blitz than not against the blitz. He's been sacked more times, but that's under less snaps. But he never throws picks against the blitz. He's 1 interception against the blitz.
Well, he eats the ball a lot. Jaden he'll take a bad sack.
Yeah.
He'll take some bad sacks.
But he's
Some
only
of those eyes not down the field, just bend over and give up.
He is a beast, though. I would not be surprised if he was the reason they win. Because I said on Friday, they'll do something messy. They'll do some crazy work, and it'll end up being the reason they win. I would go 5.5 too, if I were picking. We'll have to see how that goes, though. Let's move on to the AFC side and the Texans and Chiefs. So, it's the refs, right?
I think it's like the first team to lose in the playoffs when having more passing yards, more rushing yards, 0 turnovers.
I think it was 100+ yards, too.
Something like that.
It was insane.
It's insanity. And Chiefs fans can get on here and tell us how, at the end, the Texans rolled over. They're not wrong. I mean, Texans played a really bad fourth quarter, but you cannot take away the toll that it takes on a team, on a defense, when you hold the Chiefs on 3rd down and then they're gifted an automatic first down.
Yeah, that was the
Chiefs scored on both of those plays, or both of those drives. Now, granted, the first one, I think they only kicked the field goal, but again, it's the toll it takes on a defense when you get a stop on 3rd down and you get bailed out by an official that Patrick Mahomes was undefeated when that guy refs his game.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would go as far as to say it's an NFL-wide conspiracy, but Mahomes-Brady comparison for calls is very obvious, and the NFL has gotten so soft on these quarterback hits. Depending on who you are, it's ridiculous. I mean, you watch Josh Allen go in, head down, and just run people over, and there's never any flag or concern for his well-being, but you watch Patrick Mahomes fall to his knees with 3 defenders all going to hit him at the same time, and it's a penalty when they both miss.
Yeah, and they hit each other. It was the craziest call I've ever seen.
New York has to get involved in those calls and call down and say, I know what it looked like in full speed on the field, but it's not what actually happened. Pick up the flag.
It's the whole Saints thing all over again.
Yeah, it's just, it makes no sense to me. And it just, it hurts the credibility. And it's actually made the Chiefs like the most hated team in football now. The Cowboys aren't relevant enough to be the most hated team in football. It's made the Chiefs the most hated team in football because there's a conspiracy that the refs are a problem.
So I did write something down, and either you're going to call me an idiot for it, or you're going to agree with me. What is different between the Chiefs and prime James Harden, besides for the success?
I don't understand the comparison.
So, prime James Harden, think of it, the one that was dropping 70 points a game, 60 points a game. You always complain that he was a foul, flopping, pain in the butt.
And probably the worst teammate of all time in the NBA.
He was averaging triple-double. I don't want to hear it. So, I don't
But
want James... I didn't say James Harden slander.
But an awful teammate.
I was saying free throw. I was saying foul baiting-wise. Chiefs and James Harden are very similar in that regard.
The NFL can fix that problem.
Yeah.
I don't blame the Chiefs for taking advantage of the rules. I mean, great coaches always take advantage of the rules. I blame the NFL for not addressing it and for giving them the call.
See, I could really turn this into
and frankly, there should be a penalty for flopping. If the play is so obviously egregious that you're not going to throw a penalty flag on the defense, then you should throw a penalty flag on the offense for trying to pull that off, because you're one step closer to being soccer.
Yeah, because the holding ones are the worst. There are some holding calls where you're just like, what?
And missed holding calls too.
Yeah, that
and
too.
the false starts. I mean, the NFL really needs to figure out how to define what a false start is, because I don't think anybody knows anymore what's allowed and what's not.
What you mean?
You've got offensive linemen who are allowed to take a step back before the ball is snapped, and that's not a false start. But if you're in a 3-point stance and you rock backwards or forwards a half an inch, it's a false start.
I missed that.
Lane Johnson for the Eagles does it every single play.
Oh, you're talking
Every
about when he
single play.
shoots back. Yeah, that's a lot of timing, though. You have to remember. He's very good at timing.
No, it's a false start.
I don't know, man. I disagree there.
If that leg moves, but if he was a wide receiver and he moved his leg like that before the ball was snapped, would it be a false start?
No.
100% it would. If you're a wide receiver and you're in your stance and you're set, if you move your leg backwards before the ball is snapped and you don't get set again, that's 100% a false start.
I always thought it was
or illegal
thing.
motion.
He's a very good timer.
No.
I do like Lane Johnson. He's a great guy.
It's not a shot at Lane Johnson. He's found a loophole that the refs don't call, so he's going to do it. But, when 375-pound offensive guard hiccups before the snap and they throw a flag and call it a false start, come on.
Yeah, no, I agree at some points. I do think that there are some moments where... you remember when the Chiefs used to not have the refs on their side? You remember
I don't remember a time.
The 2018, Brady.
That's because he was playing against Brady.
D Ford lined it up offside.
But irregardless, the Texans did not play in the fourth quarter. The Texans were not aggressive enough at all, considering who you're playing. Patrick Mahomes did his thing with the crazy pass to Kelsey in the end zone, where he's literally falling to the ground.
Yeah, that was insane.
And drops one in there. I mean, that's just typical Patrick Mahomes.
So I got a few things to go over. Joe Mixon did amazing. For a guy who's historically bad against really good defensive teams, he did great.
Well, I think that the Texans have a pretty good offensive line for the run game. I think their offensive line on the pass game has Stroud, running for his life a little bit too much.
So we had a running thing where we always noted that Joe Mixon against good teams, he was not historically bad, but he was consistently like an under 50-yard rusher against good teams. His line coming in today was 55.5.
55.5 yards.
Yeah, it was not, he played against the Titans, who was a good defense, 23 yards. Ravens, 26. Chiefs, 27. Dolphins, 23. And
yeah, but what was the balance in that game? Because the Texans' balance was remarkably close, passing versus rushing in that game against the Chiefs. I think they went in with a clear plan to run the football.
So, for example, against the Ravens, it was at 2.9 yards per carry. Dolphins was 1.6. Titans, 1.6. 1.8 against the Lions. but every other game he'd average 4. So there was some. Obviously, there's different factors and like how often you're.
Well, and what wide receivers were missing during those games too.
That's true.
Because the Texans had a lot of injuries in the wide receiver ranks this year.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz and Nico Collins, and John Menchie with.
And what's weird is they went from having the most up and coming flash of rookie wide receivers to
a flash in the pan.
Kind of a meh.
I mean,
especially in the playoffs.
Tank Dell. Well, that's because of injuries. Tank Dell. If Tank Dell's healthy, that's a decent defense. That's a decent offense. What else did I have? I had I already went over this one. How did the Chiefs keep giving the Chiefs the win? How did the refs keep giving the Chiefs the win?
I think the Chiefs have figured out. Andy Reid has figured out how to play not to lose the game.
Yeah.
And every now and then, Patrick Mahomes makes a dumb throw that has Andy Reid probably cursing under his breath. But he knows that in the fourth quarter, Patrick Mahomes is going to make up for that interception with something dazzling. I mean, I think Mahomes had a couple of bad ones against the Bills.
Yeah.
In that loss. But for the most part, they're just managing the game with a lot of different players. I mean, 7 different people on the Chiefs caught a football.
A lot more than 7. Oh, only 4. But that was because a lot of targets, though.
Well, yeah, okay. So they targeted
1,
10 guys.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 guys.
They targeted 9 guys in the game. I mean, there's not a lot of teams that have 9 targets.
So
9 different targets.
Yeah.
In the game.
So I did have for the Texans. What's next? No free agents leaving. So how do you improve from?
DeMeco Ryans is just getting started. I mean, he's going to build a defense there. That's what he does.
Yeah, he's really good at defense.
But they need to look at their wide receiver core for sure.
So T. Higgins or Chris Godwin?
Either one, yeah, could be.
If you had to pick, which one?
But they also have an opportunity to find something in the draft.
Let me see what they're looking to draft. Mock draft. So this is all on Tankathon. They are 25th. They're projected to get inside O lineman Tyler Brook.
Yeah, which I think O lineman for C.J. Stroud. I mean, they want Stroud to be a pocket passer. They don't want him to be a runner. So I think offensive line would make a ton of sense there for them.
So would you trade up and get Luthen Burden?
I don't think if I'm the Titans.
No, if you're the Texans.
Or if I'm the Texans, no.
So would you go for Emu Abuka?
I think if you're gonna make a move for an offensive talent, you're doing it in the 3rd or 4th round.
So you're gonna hold. So you wouldn't want number 2, Emo Abuka, who just caught the ball.
Whether or not I want him or whether or not I'm willing to let C.J. Stroud run for his life every game, Stroud's not going to get him the ball if he's running constantly.
Yeah. So there was a few guys in the later rounds too. Like, this is a really good draft class. You got Matthew Golden at 74, Tez Johnson at 83, Trey Harris, who's been a great Ole Miss receiver, Isaiah Bond. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton of offensive.
And even if you wait 2027, you have Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith, both 2 absolute studs.
And that division's not getting any better.
Titans are. You don't think the Titans are shooting up after they fire their coach to pick up Deion Sanders?
No.
You let that slide. Nice.
I'm not getting baited into Deion Sanders talk.
So now to the Chiefs. So Mahomes struggled.
Mahomes looks like he's struggled all year.
But
is he struggling or is he just doing what's asked of him?
So but Travis Kelce.
Because Kareem Hunt has ended up being probably the free agent pickup of the year.
He turned back into free-kicking women Hunt.
Yes.
For lack of a better word. So I did see something. It was on PMT. They were talking about how they didn't allow a single completion. The what's his name? The 2 corners. Shipley or something like that?
Yeah. Well, maybe not, but is that tight corner coverage or is that Spagnuolo and his blitz schemes?
No, for the Texans.
Oh, the Texans.
Derek Stingley and I can't remember his other name, but he is a very good corner.
Yeah, but that's typical DeMeco Ryans.
Lassiter.
That's DeMeco Ryans football. I mean, when he was the 49ers defensive coordinator, we had one of our best secondaries statistically that we've ever had. And part of that was based on the rush. I mean, what was is it Will Anderson?
Yeah, Willie Anderson.
Will Anderson had a game in that game. He was playing really, really well. It's unfortunate that it's overshadowed by
a loss.
By a loss and the roughing the passer call that was total BS.
Also another BS.
That had an opportunity to change that game.
Yeah, they played great on
Will Anderson
defense.
was everywhere, and he did a really good job of spying Mahomes. There were a couple of different plays where the Chiefs, had to run something inside that they were going to try and get outside because Williams was really disciplined coming off the edge, and he doesn't chase right away. He kind of gets across the line and then waits and lets the offense make a decision and then goes for it. But the Titans are going to still play in a crappy division again, with hopefully a better offensive line. I'm a D'Amico Ryans fan.
They made something. I mean, Danielle Hunter was the only one who really had problems.
And this is only the second year.
Yeah.
Second year for D'Amico, and they've been in the playoffs both years.
So, Alshire had a good game. Toto had a good game. Yeah, it's just tough to, see that. Because Toto had one tackle, 6 assists. That's a great inside linebacker kind of game. To where it's like...
Yeah, the offense just kind of fizzled in the fourth quarter.
The reason they lost was because they let Travis Kelce get 117 yards.
Yeah.
You got picked apart in the middle of the field.
Yeah, well, I mean, those Travis Kelce catches weren't even contested.
Yeah, that's the problem.
He was wide open. It wasn't like he was making really tough George Kittle catches and then getting tackled. I mean, there was nobody within 20 yards.
So I got up the chart of Mahomes' completions. Notice how it's all within 15 yards and all in the middle. There's 2 outside passes and then a bunch behind the line of scrimmage. That's all you need to do.
I don't think they have a great home run threat. They haven't had a great home run threat since they lost
Worthy.
Tyreek Hill. Worthy's been hurt a ton this season.
He had the second most yards. He had 45.
On how many catches?
5.
Yeah, so he's averaging...
He had 21.
He's averaging 9 yards a catch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a home run threat. Tyreek Hill was averaging 20 yards a catch. That's a home run threat.
Yeah. So, best EPA in the game was Travis Kelce. Who's surprised? Yeah, that's how... That shows the most of this game. Travis Kelce had a 10.1 EPA. Worthy had a 1.8, and no one had above 0.
Yeah.
It's
nice of Kelce to finally show up when nobody's fantasy teams matter anymore.
Oh, yeah, you're a little butthurt.
Thanks a lot, Travis.
You're a little butthurt. Fantasy champion.
Took the whole season off being a Swiftie, and now he's playing in the playoffs.
Fantasy champion, fantasy loser.
Yeah. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut.
2 times. All right. What else did I have? Oh, same rematch of the Bills. How can you win? What changes for the Chiefs?
I'm not.
You don't think they can?
No, I think Steve Spagnuolo is capable of anything.
That's the problem.
Defensively, and I cannot wait until somebody finally hires him as a head coach. Somebody please hire Spagnuolo as a head coach.
He won't leave.
Please go to the Raiders.
He's not leaving.
Go to the Cowboys. Go somewhere. Get out of Kansas City. How can the Chiefs win? Managing the game exactly how they have all year.
Yeah,
16 games won by less than 1 possession. I think it is this year.
So Chiefs.
Obviously, you can tell I did not prepare for this.
No, I told him last minute.
So
yeah, but no one's hiring Spags as a coach.
What are you talking about?
Not that they won't want to. 11
games.
Yes.
Won by 1
11
possession.
and 0. Yeah, that's how you win football games. That's when it matters. So, same questions. Why can't they win at all? Is it just because they're just inconsistent?
I'm not certain that offense can react to somebody putting up 40 points on them.
Oh,
I don't know that they can be in a shootout.
I was thinking just going up 14. I think they just... I don't think they give up.
Mahomes in the fourth quarter, man. And Spags dialing up blitzes. I mean, it's depressing.
That's a bad thing
really
to say
when
as
a
it's
football
me and
fan.
you.
But I'm not sure they can win a shootout.
No, I don't think they could either. So, why can they win it all? Just Mahomes?
Mahomes, man. Yeah. Mahomes, that Spags defense, and just if they can shut down the other team's offense, and it'll be a close game. Nobody is better in close games than Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, Kevin O'Connell. I'd put Kevin O'Connell over Andy Reid.
No.
1,000%.
One of them has Super Bowls. The other one doesn't.
One of them has Patrick Mahomes. One of them doesn't.
Well,
one of them has Patrick Mahomes. One of them has Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins. So that's that debate. But they also went 11-0 in close games and then lost to the Giants in the first round. So how big of a threat are they? Are they the 10?
I'm gonna give them a 7.
So same as Eagles.
Same as the Eagles.
So you put the Commanders above them. That's funny. That's interesting. I don't know how high.
I look at that as a threat to like surprise everybody. Nobody's gonna be shocked if Kansas City wins.
Touchdown.
It's not gonna be a surprise to anybody. But I think they're a solid 7.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go to the last one. We're gonna do a halftime recap, I think, because this game's actually really good. So Ravens at Bills. Lamar balled out, but the Ravens lost. How do you fix
How
it?
can you say Lamar balled out when he had
250
he lost a fumble that was really bad? He didn't even have the ball remotely tucked. The ball was loose, hanging around, and literally just fell out of his hands. And then the interception.
The interception was dumb.
I don't know if that was 100% his fault. It kind of looks to me like the wide receiver ran a different route than what he was expecting him to run, but it's still turnovers.
Yeah.
It's still turnovers. And he did ball out, but it feels like everything for the Ravens is tied to him. And it seems like every playoffs, something happens where a bad decision he makes is the difference in that game. And I'm not saying Lamar's bad, and I would take Lamar on my team any day. I think he's a top 2-3 quarterback in the NFL 100%. You cannot turn the ball over 3 times in the playoffs and expect to win the football game.
Yes.
It's crazy, especially not against a team like the Bills in Buffalo with that crowd. It's impossible. You really you killed yourself.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really blame him 100%, but it's not the worst thing in the world to have Lamar. I was just checking the sound to make sure it was on.
I'm not saying having Lamar is the worst thing in the world.
No,
I think you want to have Lamar. You just can't turn the ball over in the playoffs.
My thought was
you have to hold on to the
My thought was all over the place. I was worried about the sound. I was making sure everything was right.
No.
Ravens were one catch away from making the AFC Championship, right? Was that the big problem, you think? The Mark Andrews drop and fumble?
Well, Justin Tucker missed extra point, right?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Tucker missed 1 or 2 extra points.
Is that scoregami?
Mark Andrews, how can anybody fault that guy? He carried that team in the game.
Did he?
Offensively, Mark Andrews had a
great
great
game.
game.
61 yards for reception.
Yeah, he had a great game.
Yeah, but that drop, the worst part about it all was the
drop,
tweet. The tweet. Unaffected. It was like Mark Andrews unaffected at Highmark Stadium. And then he fumbles the ball.
I don't think Mark Andrews was affected by the conditions. I think it was a very difficult catch to make. And that ground was hard as heck.
I know
they said it was a heated field, but he bounced off that.
It's not hard. It's not heated yet.
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's heated.
I forgot. I couldn't remember. The new one's heated for sure.
Definitely heated, yeah.
I know this one. I'm not 100% sure. Because I know
it's heated to a certain extent.
Yeah.
They said it wasn't going to be frozen.
I got you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Bateman had a great game, but I kind of saw that coming. No Zay Flowers. If Zay Flowers is in that game, do you think they win it?
I think they have a better chance, for sure. Lamar without weapons, you're asking him to do a lot. And Lamar runs a lot like Jaden Daniels, the way he kind of stands up and waits for holes to open and then picks his way through. I find to be very entertaining because it's like they look untackleable. And Henry had a good
81 yards.
Had a good game overall.
84 yards, sorry.
84 yards. I think he had one big one.
Lana 17.
It was a 17-yarder.
That was Saquon you're thinking of. Or Justice Hill.
No,
Justice Hill had 22.
It's probably the one up the middle that he broke for 17 that I'm thinking of. But
Justice Hill.
But Derrick Henry played a pretty good game too. I still don't think they run the football enough for having
16 attempts.
You got Derrick Henry though.
Yeah, that's the thing that never
Derrick
got.
Henry's a 25, 28 carry a game back. Like, he's
You got him,
that
and
guy.
then you got Justin Hill.
Yeah.
Who, even if, let's say, Henry is a little bit off, you run in Justice Hill, and he can do just the same.
And it's a cold weather game.
I love the video I saw from the guy I always send you videos of. He did like a skit with Lamar Jackson play action. It's like, you're either going to get burned or you're going to get put in the ground. Either way, it sucks. Yeah, they should just run. Why not just run options, everybody?
Well, I don't know about options. I mean, the NFL's pretty good. The NFL linebackers are a lot better at sniffing out options than college linebackers. But
I mean,
you got to give the Bills the credit. I mean, they played a turnover-free football game. They did exactly what they needed to do, which is just get inside the 10-yard line and then let Josh Allen run the ball as many times as it takes to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I can't get EPA, unfortunately.
I don't see Josh Allen being able to walk anymore when he's 35 at the rate that he takes hits and gets abused, but it's the kind of football he likes to play. Sometimes you hear the cracks of the helmets when he's running the football, and you're like, how is he not getting called over the sideline for a concussion test?
Yeah.
It's just the way he plays.
And if you heard that crack from Mahomes, there'd be 15 yards.
There'd be a penalty.
Yeah. So, 3 players with over 80% of the snaps are leaving, and 2 of them are offensive tackles.
For the Ravens. Are leaving, or they're free agents. They're free agents. Ravens have been pretty good about signing free agents in the past.
So, there's a decision. Do you gun for a guard in the draft, or do you go for a free agent? There's only really one great free agent.
I don't think they have a...
Cap space?
I don't think they have star power at linebacker, which is something that is really important.
They lost Patrick Queen. That was the big loss.
Yeah, they need linebacker. I don't think offensive line. I mean, offensive line is definitely an issue, but scoring points this year for them was not necessarily the biggest problem. They still don't have a dynamic. With Worthy out, who's your all-star wide receiver? You got teams that have 3 all-star wide receivers. I mean,
you have Bateman
in the catches. I mean, Bateman. That's your backup guy.
Zay is
Isaiah
big
Likely.
part of it.
I mean, Mark Andrews. He's got a couple years left. He's not going anywhere. But they just don't have a dynamic speed wide receiver.
It's Likely. That's it, really.
Yeah.
Bateman's speedy, but Bateman doesn't. They have 2 speedies. They have 2. No, they don't have that one guy like a Cooper who's sure-handed. A Khalil Shakir.
Well, normally that's Mark Andrews for him.
Yeah, but even I like their wide receiver room, but it doesn't fit what they do. Likely can do that. Likely can be the fast guy. Bateman can be the fast guy. But they have 2 deep threats and no over-the-middle targets besides Andrews.
Yep, and Worthy being hurt in the playoffs is a problem.
Oh.
Bad timing.
Yeah, that's terrible timing. What else I got? Yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. They're projecting to draft Oregon's Josh Cornley Jr., which he is not massive. 6'4", 305. He probably breaks the rule of the 35-inch.
He probably puts 50 pounds on when he comes to the NFL.
But that breaks the rule of the 35-inch wingspan. I love that rule. That's such a funny, stupid rule. So let's move on to the Bills. Let's give them their credit. So you mentioned it earlier. Josh Allen's stats don't show he played a great game. But that's not the point because he moderated the game well.
He did exactly what was being asked of him. Cook had a pretty good game, didn't he?
67 on 17.
Yeah, 67 and 3 catches.
Yeah. Ty Johnson had a good game. It was a Bills.
Yeah, Josh Allen have 3 touchdowns rushing?
Yeah, he had a lot of touchdowns running. 2.
2 touchdowns rushing.
And Ray Davis had 1.
Yeah, even though he only had 20 yards, he had 10 attempts, and they were all inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Bills don't put up the stats like normal, but they play good football.
Very disciplined football.
Yeah, they're very smart about it. No turnovers. Very cautious. It was a very complete game.
Which early in Josh Allen's career, the turnovers were a problem. Interceptions were a problem.
He was
a little bit of a gunslinger, and
I do want that back.
He definitely has corrected that.
So, actually, no, this isn't even on the notes. Do you fire your coach? If you don't beat the Chiefs here, do you fire McDavid?
No.
I feel like he's holding them back. That's the problem.
I don't think so.
I think he's the last piece.
No, I think they've let some wide receivers walk away. They're not super talented at the wide receiver position.
I disagree heavy. Shakir, Collins, Curtis Samuel's all right. Cooper, Coleman, Kincaid, and the other guy. Kincaid and Kmet.
Named the early 2000s All-Star team. Like,
Khalil Shakir's amazing.
Again, that's one. That's not a wide receiver room.
Coleman is a rookie. He's only going to get better. Keon Coleman.
Yeah,
Florida State
he
rookie.
had one catch for 5 yards.
Yeah, he had a bad game. I'm not going to lie.
Well, it's not that he had a bad game. They're running this game plan because I don't think they have a very dynamic wide receiver room. But, again, in that game against the Ravens with snow and crappy weather, that's the right game plan. The question is in a dome in the Super Bowl, can they air it out?
So, can I say something? You might disagree with me. I think they have a better rounded receiver room than the Ravens. I think Shakir's their receiver. Keon Coleman's their deep threat. Matt Collins is their freak, stay away, that guy's insane guy. Cooper's another sure-hander. And then Kincaid and Knox are great two pieces.
Where is their Amon-Ra? Where is their Chase?
They're sure-hander.
Where is their...
Yeah, but not every team needs that one.
Every team needs a home run wide receiver threat.
That's Keon Coleman.
How is Keon Coleman their home run wide receiver threat?
Because he can turn into big games. He has had big games. But he's not consistent enough. I'll give you that. He's not a consistent... He averaged 42 a game. He had 2 for 2. He basically was 50% catch rate.
Does that say his yards per catch?
Yards per game.
No, what's his yards per catch? 2.2?
That's receiving
Oh.
receptions.
Again, you have tiers of wide receivers. You have a top 10 in the NFL wide receivers. The Bills don't have any of those.
Whoa,
Shakir's
so
maybe
good.
right at the edge of that.
I think Shakir's 11.
But I think losing Davis was a huge loss for them. Davis was their deep threat.
Diggs. I got you.
No, Davis was their deep threat. The kid that...
the Jacksonville guy.
Yes.
What's his name?
He was their deep threat. Diggs was their every down wide receiver that would get a lot of catches and a lot of targets. And then Davis was the take off the top home run threat. And he was good for 6-7 touchdowns every single year.
Yeah, he was either good for 3 touchdowns or no touchdowns.
Bombs down the field.
But that's
I don't
what
think
Keon
they have
Coleman
that.
is.
But they don't have any top 10. They don't have a top 10 wide receiver.
I mean, Shakir, 54 yards on 5 receptions for 6 targets.
54 yards is not a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL.
He's just consistent.
Look at the yards on the top 15 wide receivers.
No, I know he's not statistically putting up those numbers, but neither is Josh Allen. He's kind of like...
But Josh Allen is capable of that. Josh Allen has a cannon for an arm.
So does Mahomes, though. You're not saying Mahomes doesn't have receiving sets.
Isn't Mahomes like 3 years older than Josh Allen? 4 years older than Josh Allen?
I think a year or 2. Maybe 2. Matt Collins is good, though.
Mahomes hasn't had that home run threat since they lost Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
They changed their offense, so they don't necessarily need it. But
that's such a stat line. Matt Collins, 2 targets a game, 2.9 targets a game, 1.8 receptions per game, 22 yards.
I think the viewers get the point.
Yeah,
I understand that you think every wide receiver in the NFL is a top 10 guy, but it's just not the case.
I'm not saying Matt Collins. I'm saying the only top 10 I'm saying is Shakir. I think Keon Coleman could be.
I don't think he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now.
He's very consistent. He's got sure hands. I like that about him.
If the statistics aren't there, how can we be top 10?
Because in my mind, he's top 10.
In your mind.
Well, that's the same.
In your mind,
nice
I'm 20 pounds lighter.
So, but like, they did do the right thing, though. They used to have Singletary. Remember the Bills that used to have Singletary and Allen? And that never worked. You swapped your receiving core for a running back.
Right. Well, and Cook had a few good games this year, but their running game still wasn't great this year.
Yeah, but it
was adequate.
He's been a playoff impact, though.
I mean, imagine if he had a Saquon type running back who was getting 100+ yards a game. That offense would be unstoppable.
But then you would just be the Ravens.
They're different quarterbacks. Josh Allen, and they're very different.
You're thinking Josh Allen's way better than.
No, Josh Allen his running style is very different than Lamar's.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. So, what else do I have? How can you repeat against the Chiefs? Just same game plan.
Same game plan. I think the Chiefs are ripe for being picked off, and I feel like the Bills finally have the team that can do it.
So, why can't they? Same thing. Why can't they win it all?
If Josh Allen goes back to turning the ball over, that's
Yeah.
gonna be a problem. If they don't get Cook involved,
Yeah, if they keep Cook, I think that'll be the big.
If they don't get Cook involved, then Spags is gonna just tee off on Allen.
Yeah. So why can they? It's just Josh Allen being Josh Allen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's freakishly great.
Where Josh Allen goes, that team will go.
How big of a threat are they? Are they the 10?
I think they're a 9.
Okay,
I don't
so
think
they're your
anybody's
highest.
a 10. I think they're a 9.
Oh, Travis Scott is there. He's the highest in the room. So you won't get that. You don't get the reference.
I got that.
All right, so we're close to halftime. But we're gonna go over this little. I had a little tidbit for us. How does winning a Super Bowl impact each quarterback's legacy? We'll start with Daniels.
Oh, I think for Daniels, I mean,
We'll rank them too.
well, number one, you've got to be a commander for life at that point.
Yeah.
Because
So
you bring something home to them that they haven't seen since the Joe Gibbs era.
wow,
Which is insane.
what a name! That's
Well,
such a pull.
Which is insane. And the only thing I worry about with him as a rookie, if he wins the Super Bowl, is the pressure will never be greater.
Yeah, he'll have the CJ Stroud
Yes.
falling.
Anything that happens next year, Super Bowl or bust, will be considered a failure.
Yeah, but even if he doesn't win a Super
Which
Bowl,
is tough on a young man's confidence.
Yeah.
But I think, he's got nothing to lose. And that's, of the 3 quarterbacks, other than Mahomes, he's got nothing to lose. The outcome of how they finish this playoffs will not matter in the scope of his career because he's going to be great for a long time. And the Commanders are going to get back there, especially with new ownership. And the man that is in the front office there, who was with the 49ers for 9 years and learned how to do it, how to put together a championship team. I mean, Daniels is going to be fine.
Unless you're listening to Stu Finder, then you know they're cooked because they all have AIDS now.
Yeah.
They all hugged Magic Johnson. They're all ruled out for
that's
AIDS.
how it gets transmitted.
Yeah. So you're saying rank it. How big of an impact is it? Is it a 2? Is it a 3?
I think
it's a 2. If out of the 4 quarterbacks right now,
if he wins it or loses or no matter the outcome.
If he wins it all, how big of an impact is it on his legacy? It's probably.
Well, he'll always be known as a quarterback who.
So it's a 2.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a 1 because I think there's one more that deserves will be high. So Hurts, he'd ruin the John Kitna.
I think for Hurts, it's going to matter how he plays. If he makes it to the Super Bowl and plays like crap and they lose, I think there's going to be a lot of questions about whether or not.
So that'll kill him. That'll be a big.
I think it's gonna raise a lot of questions about should the Eagles be looking at what's potentially next.
Ooh,
for that
wow,
team.
that's a lot. I agree with you, but he doesn't take up a lot of cap. He's under the 7% mark
For now.
He's under 7% for his the
For
contract.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But his contract, what's he got?
5 years.
Yeah,
He
but
just got paid.
when? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah, which means he's going to be asked. Which means he's going to be back up for 3, and then Hurts. He already has Super Bowl. He'd love to have another one. He's already a Philly, legacy.
He doesn't have a Super Bowl. He has appearance. He lost that one. Remember, it was the Chiefs one. 20.
They won it.
He isn't. No, that was the
they won it when,
Big Dick Nick.
Yes. Yeah.
That was Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to preview the.
I think
Bills.
Sirianni needs a Super Bowl more than Hurts.
Yes, Sirianni. Oh, that'll be a. We'll talk about that Friday with Tanner.
Yeah, he needs it more.
So you're ranking that 3, 4, or 1? That's not 1, right?
No.
So it's probably 3. If he wins it'd probably be 3.
It's hard to say. I mean, I don't like the Eagles, so
Yeah,
it hurts me to think about
but
them.
you just said
It hurts me to think of Hurts winning a Super Bowl.
Okay, but imagine now. Hear about this. Imagine it's Chiefs Eagles again, and they win it. How big of an impact would that be on his legacy?
Huge.
So
because then he got it done. Because then he could win the big one.
Would it be 1 or 3, or would it be 4?
It would be 1.
You think it'd be 1 out of all of these guys?
No.
That's what I'm asking.
No.
Rank it.
Oh, you're ranking out of the 4?
Yeah, out of the 4.
Oh, it's Allen number 1.
Obviously.
By a million.
We were getting there.
Allen's entire legacy is tied up in needing to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And probably his Hall of Fame status as well. I would say Hurts is 2.
Daniels 3.
I would say Hurts is 2. Mahomes is 2 because that legacy of winning of a three-peat is huge. And if he ever wants a chance to take Tom Brady down, he's got to win. So in that context, I would say Daniels is 4 then.
So
because whether or not he wins one this year or not is not going to be super consequential.
I'm going to disagree with you.
That's fine.
I think it's Allen 1. I think it's Daniels 2, Hurts 3, Mahomes 4. Because we know Hurts already made it. Mahomes is not changing. He's a Hall of Famer going into a little bit better Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but he still wants to catch Brady.
He's going to catch Brady, though.
No, he's not.
He's got tons of time.
He's not catching Brady.
Oh, you don't.
I don't know if any quarterback's ever going to catch
Okay,
Brady.
but even then, he's still top 2. But he's not passing Brady yet.
No.
This Super Bowl is not changing anything.
No, but it's getting him closer to Brady.
It's getting him closer, but it's not going to be that big of an impact. If Allen wins
you think Mahomes is playing into his 40s?
No.
No chance.
If Allen wins it, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
If Hurts wins it, he's going to be just on the cusp.
I'm not having Hall of Fame talk about Hurts yet.
If Daniels wins it, he's on projection to
he's still just
be
a
Hall of
rookie
Famer.
winning
Yes,
a Super Bowl.
but he's on projection to be a Hall of Famer because it's not like if Ben
He's a
Roethlisberger.
rookie. I mean,
But it's not like Ben Roethlisberger when
nobody
he
ever won or lost the Hall of Fame in their rookie season.
But like Ben Roethlisberger, if he won it in 2008, 2007, which year was that?
Roethlisberger also had a 15-year career.
Yeah, but I'm referring
pretty
to
consistent football.
He was 16-1 in a Super Bowl year, but he was not the reason. If he won that Super Bowl, no one would be like, "Oh, Roethlisberger won in his rookie year." They'd be like, "That defense brought Roethlisberger and a rookie."
Well,
but no, people won't look at this one as Daniels had his offensive line and receivers to carry him. They'll be like, Daniels and McLaurin won a Super Bowl. That's kind of the thought process of it. It's like if Brock won the Super Bowl, no one's gonna be like, "Oh, Brock is the Super Bowl champion."
Well, that's because nobody gives Brock his flowers. It's different.
I still wouldn't consider Brock to be the reason we would have won that Super Bowl. It would have been because we had a good defense and a good offense, and it was a really complete team. But Daniels doesn't have a complete team. He has him, McLaurin.
Yeah, but you got to keep in mind though that that's not how the NFL works.
That's true. The media is kind of
the media gives the flowers to the quarterbacks. They want to have the flowers, and no matter what Kansas City does, it's always because of Mahomes, and no matter what
Tom Brady does,
it's always because of Tom Brady, and all these other. There's a list of quarterbacks that definitely get a pass.
Unless you're Barry McCockner, then you just think it's always Tom Brady's defense.
Yes.
So we'll go over the last. I guess we don't really have to touch on this one anymore because we kind of just jump straight to the ranking of them. If Allen wins the Super Bowl, it's basically making him a Hall of Famer.
I mean,
it makes him the number 2 quarterback in the NFL, for sure.
For a time period, I think some of his other stats are a little bit questionable from a Hall of Fame status. I think his passing stats for a quarterback, he's going to win football games. His offensive stats, since he stopped being a gunslinger, have not always been stellar.
Yeah.
But winning a Super Bowl makes a big difference. I mean, Eli Manning, his offensive stats were pretty good all the time, and he won 2 Super Bowls, made him a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. So, wait, we do have the record that could be broken. What was it called? What's it? Joe Ginta? The Bills quarterback. The last one who lost the Super Bowl and then came back and won one. Or something like that. What was it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I mentioned it at Sunday, and you corrected me for his name. It was John Kinta or something like that?
Kitna?
Yeah.
Kitna wasn't.
Who lost their first Super Bowl and never won another one? And that was like where it stemmed from. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. It's not Kitna. Kitna was a quarterback for the Seahawks.
Was he?
Yes.
Uh,
It's oh my gosh, it was all the missed field goals.
yeah.
Like 4 years in a row.
How many teams have? Okay, I can't think of it. And one's.
Yeah. You should have had that in your notes.
I forgot it, and I just thought of it now. QB's.
Just look up. Wasn't he a Bills QB?
Their Super Bowl debut. There it is. Since the last 16 quarterbacks to lose their Super Bowl debut have never made it back. That's what it is. So the last 16 quarterbacks. So Garoppolo, Goff, Matt Ryan, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, Grossman, Hasselbeck, McNabb, De La Homa, Gannon, Collins, McNair, Chandler, Drew Bledsoe, O'Donnell, and Humphreys. Never made a Super Bowl again.
Yeah, that's not Kitna at all.
I can't remember which one was it. But this could basically make it.
It just goes to show you that winning the Super Bowl when you get there is important.
Yeah.
You're never guaranteed.
But that means it could stop here. Because if Hurts win the NFC Championship game, he's in the Super Bowl. And he lost his first one. So
if
this
he wins the NFC Championship.
That's keep an eye on it. We just went to halftime, so we can talk about that now. We have one more though. Biggest impact player in the playoffs right now. Is it Daniels? Or is it Allen? Or
oh
Mahomes?
man, I mean, I think it's Saquon.
Okay.
I think it's Terry McLaurin.
You want to draft? You want to do a draft?
Not right now.
Okay,
I don't
no.
want to do a draft. Terry McLaurin.
I tried.
Saquon, Jaden, Josh Allen. I mean, the biggest impact player.
Like, who wins their team football?
Jaden Daniels.
Okay,
So far,
yeah.
has been in my mind.
I
has been
100%
the biggest
agree.
impact player.
So now we can talk about this game and then we'll wrap it up. So 21-7. Notre Dame's looked competitive. LeBron is celebrating really hard right now.
The second best basketball player to ever play the game.
Oh, that'll be a fun April conversation.
There is no debate.
No, there'll be a debate.
There's no debate.
There'll be a debate one day soon.
Notre Dame's getting bullied right now.
Yeah, they're getting bully balled. So far, it's been Judkins. He has 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'll pull up the stats first now, but
Yeah, and Notre Dame went down and scored on that first drive.
yeah, I thought it was competitive.
I don't know if they've had a first down since. Maybe 2 first down since.
Yeah, they've been. It's been a lot of run the ball with Riley Leonard, and that hasn't been working.
Well, they're gonna have to open up in the second half
Yeah.
because they're in a 14-point.
He has 10 attempts for 34 yards and touchdown.
Yeah.
And all of half those yards came
And
from
they only
the
have
first.
46 yards passing.
We got screen limited. Someone snatched it. So Will Howard has 144 yards passing. It's been a lot of Ime Iboka and Jeremiah Smith.
Ohio State doing what they're best at.
Yeah, passing.
Throwing the football to their 3 NFL wide receivers.
Yeah, 3. Smith, Boca, and who? Carnell Tate? Judkins has been playing great. He's a running back, though. 2 receptions, 21 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, it's going to be Ohio State by a lot now.
Well,
Notre Dame did not score in the second
don't
half.
count out Jesus.
That's true. But, I mean, that's kind of what...
But Notre Dame's going to have to come off the strategy of running the football a bunch of times.
Yeah, because they...
I think they only have, 3 pass attempts? 4 pass attempts?
Is that what it said? Oh my gosh. Is it... Wait, what? Oh, I pulled up that game, that's why. 9.
What was I looking at?
I don't know.
Oh, go down.
Oh, receptions?
They have 5 catches.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
all to different receivers.
Yeah.
But this is kind of what happened in this game, I think. They got bully balled. Yeah, they start... Oh, never mind. That was different, though. They started up... NIU started up 10-3, and they didn't come back.
16-14. So
Yeah, but I'm
it
trying
wasn't
to...
an offensive explosion.
I'm trying to explain how they start down in the first half, and they start bad in the first half, and then they can't come back.
Yeah, well, Notre Dame needs Jesus.
A lot of Jesus.
Yeah.
Even Jesus might be... AWL. Jesus might not be able to pull them back. I think that's it. We got... I mean, you don't know an NBA, so... Do you want to talk about PJ Couture? Did you watch that one? No. Tanner normally loves to talk about the
The
PGA.
PGA just started back. The big guns aren't even playing in
Yeah,
tournaments.
but it doesn't matter. See, that's the funny part. Tanner always loves to talk about it.
I don't mind talking about the PGA, but I watch the majors and then follow along, but I don't
So
watch.
you don't know about any of the Express? You don't know about Justin Thomas dropping 23? Jason Day I have his ball.
Dropping 23?
Yeah. He went minus 23.
He shot 23 under.
Okay, shush. I have his ball, Jason Day, minus 22.
Yes, you do.
I don't know where it is, but I did get a signed Jason Day ball.
Seb Straka's leading the tournament. You didn't even mention him.
He won.
Oh, yeah.
1.6 million. Yeah. We can't talk about college basketball. We're ranked 5. Did you know that?
I did.
You don't pay attention. You don't believe in... This is the biggest college basketball hater. He doesn't believe in college basketball before March. See,
Well, once the conference tournaments start.
he doesn't know that, like, you have to be watching college basketball from now until...
Some of us work.
Yeah, some of us have a life. We have a podcast. So.
Tanner, get well. Only time will heal your wounds, buddy. Then they're done that.
Yeah, way too many times.
That hurts.
22 straight years.
And don't pay attention to the haters on the internet who want to give you a hard time about your fandom.
You gave him the hardest time. You texted him that the defense wasn't looking great.
I told him ahead of time the defense wasn't going to be good.
Yeah, he was stuck on that hill. You texted him though. I was like, oh.
And was I wrong?
No, you weren't. But see, that's the problem is you got to be delicate. it's like talking about like a traumatic experience.
Be all right. You'll recover.
Welcome
just
to
like the
sports
rest of us
fandom.
do.
Yeah, well, they'll bounce back.
Nobody likes to kick you when you're down like your friends.
I haven't kicked him down at all.
That's nice of you. I haven't kicked him either.
Have you
didn't
kicked
make it
Bruce?
to work today.
Have you kicked Bruce?
No, I didn't kick Bruce.
He wasn't scheduled for work. I just found out about that.
Oh.
But yeah, you didn't kick Bruce?
No.
Has Bruce talked to you?
Yeah, I talked to him. I was there.
Did he say how
He's sad. Yeah,
He's very sad. Yeah, I watched
There's a lot of mourning in Detroit right now.
I watched a video of them
Yeah.
being there, and it's just like they're sitting there.
Now you just have a cold winter ahead of you where you're going to watch your coordinators leave.
A lot of coordinators.
And when your coordinators leave, the one positive you have, Detroit fans, when your coordinators leave, you get compensatory draft picks, and you turn those into superstars.
They're not the Niners, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Compensatory picks are the one positive of losing your coordinator. I think it's usually a second rounder or a
It's
third
usually
rounder.
second round or third round.
Yeah.
And depending on how many players they bring, it's a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you just spoke to Tanner's mom, basically. Because I know she always listens through.
Tanner's mom. Shout out. I'm
She-
sorry about your line.
Yeah, she went through a lot.
I feel your pain.
There are so many comments. There was like 8 comments within minutes of all
Don't
the
talk
clips.
to the haters. Don't talk to the haters.
She has a lot of clips.
And it's easy for everybody to have comments after the fact. It takes a lot to say something and take a stand and be wrong ahead of time.
She has a lot of comments about how we'll see you in the Super Bowl. Remember when you said they were too broke to go to the Super Bowl?
Oh.
She said, you'll see when we make it. So, you know the Old Takes Exposed Twitter?
Yeah, might have got a little ahead of ourselves on that.
It's okay. We all do.
I
It's
did
sports
see
fandom.
somebody that had a Lions tattoo. That was a little...
Oh.
Yeah, it was a Super Bowl tattoo, too.
You want to get Super Bowl tattoos if we win?
No.
When we win?
No.
22 straight years. We should get that tattooed.
No.
22 straight years of either making the Super Bowl or missing the playoffs.
No. I'm going to go watch football.
All right. I'll see y'all. Thanks for coming on.
Anytime. Tanner, come back, though. It's a lot of talking.
He doesn't want to do it.
It's a lot of talking.
He's a hater. All right. See y'all.